God. Yeah, this is it. It's over. This is the final one. The final game week of the SORARE regular season for the NBA before we jump into the playoffs. I'm going to run you through my lineups for this week and also share with you some tips and tricks for the final game week of the regular season before we jump into the NBA playoffs. Let's go. As always, a quick shout out just before we jump into these as well. If you're not signed up to SORARE, there's a link for it in the description down below, but you're watching a SORARE video, so I've got a feeling you probably are. But if you're not, there is a link there. You get one free card at auction when you buy 5. But also, join the Swingman SORARE Society League for the NBA, for the playoffs coming up. Every week throughout the playoffs, I'm going to be giving away a card, whoever finishes top of limited contender in our tournaments, in our mini league that we've got. There's 155 of you there. I want to get it as big as possible come the playoffs. So join. There is a link in the description below. It's free to do. As you've probably noticed as well, this video is a little bit earlier than I normally do my videos. That's because obviously it's Easter weekend, some time away, things and that, and yada yada. But in any case, we're looking pretty good for rewards right now as well. Limited champion and red champion, like I said in last week's video, or the last game week's video, I said I was really confident, and they've smashed it out of the park, to be honest with you. We're looking at 18th at the moment on red champion. We was 8th before the games last night. The crushing thing is that Mikal Bridges and Jaren Jackson Jr. was the toss-up, and I went with Bridges. If I'd have gone Jaren Jackson Jr., we'd currently be 3rd. And 3rd, I think, is like a super rare tier 2. Yeah, tier 2, which would have been massive. But even if we don't get into the super rares, which is looking unlikely with Booker and Butler at 67 and 55s already, a tier 2 rare is still very, very good to add just before the playoffs. Same thing here, a tier 4. There are a few nice role players that you can definitely pick up that would be of use come the playoffs. And then also a decent limited tier 2 option here. Embiid's not going to get better than 85. Darius Garland, I believe, sitting. There is a chance Eubanks and Gordon get better, but I think we'll end up in a limited tier 2, which again will be great for my limited lineups come the playoffs. Also, we were so close, and it still could happen depending on Jimmy Butler, but we came so close to hitting the reward for the common pickup, of which I would then give away. We just missed it with Dorian Finney-Smith, who I did get the team wrong. Yes, it was a day without coffee, but regardless, we were so close to hitting a reward in that. We might do it this week. Who knows? Let's jump into my lineups. So then for the common pickup, as ever, it's always the way with me and you. If I hit a reward in this lineup, I will give it away to one of you guys. All you have to do is leave your SORARE handle in the description down below. And what I want to know is because it's Easter weekend, everyone's getting chocolate Easter eggs and so on and so forth. What is your favorite chocolate bar? Let's go with that. A bit random, not to do with the NBA, but I want to know. In any case, the team I'm hoping that will get us that limited reward on pickup, I'm going to go for Luka Doncic. Now, you'll notice a theme throughout these as I go, apart from Kendrick Nunn. I'm going to go for Luka Doncic. The Mavs have definitely got something still to play, and there is the chance that they can get through. And if they beat the Bulls and they beat the Spurs, then they might be in the play-in depending on what happens. Same thing with LeBron. The Lakers and that whole sort of after losing to the Clippers, they need to win these games. And I can't. LeBron against the Jazz, he loves them. So I would suspect you'll get a big LeBron performance from one of these games. Drew Holiday's a different one. There is a chance he sits one of these games. I don't see him sitting both. I think they're not going to give him like a 2-week rest. There is obviously a risk with this play, but I'm still going to run with it because I like the pick and also the fits that it allows. Zach LaVine, similar thing with the Bulls. They need to play. They need to win these games. He's projecting okay, and I really like both these games for them. Dallas and Detroit are teams where they could run 130-plus points on them. So I like the pick of it, and I'd prefer him over DeMar DeRozan or any of the kind. And then Kendrick Nunn, because at an L10 and 9, all of Wizards guys have pretty much been unofficially shut down. I don't think they've come out and truly said that they're closed now for the season, but Kendrick Nunn's going to be getting 15 to 20 minutes in these games. Like we saw this week, he can get that sort of, that was an anomaly, don't get me wrong. He's not going to do that every week, but on an L10 and 9, he could definitely get in the 30s, depending on his minutes and how well he plays in them. So yeah, I really like this as a lineup. There's potentially scope was a bit risky with Drew Holiday, but I'd rather play him than the Bams and the Sengans here and the MPJs. I don't think that they would get the guaranteed floor minutes that Drew Holiday will. So this is my common pickup lineup. Limited contender, I'm not gassed on. I'm really not excited about this lineup, but it's something that I had that I could throw together because the other 2 modes this week, which was the special limited under 23s and limited champion, I had a bit of a better way to form those lineups. I don't want to go out and spend big money on cards that are going to do well this week that literally have 1 game week of usage until the NBA season restarts again. I'm not really into that sort of thing. So I have cards that can perform well, and we'll see how they'll do. Juan Toscano Anderson, he's out there for nothing but pure cardio, but who knows, he might hit a 20. That's the max that you're going to get out of him. Sam Hauser, different sort of scope for him. The Celtics now, they've pretty much secured their position. They might play Jason Tatum one night, they might play Jaylen Brown the other night, and then like bench and rotate. He will be a guy that could start, and he'll also get a good amount of minutes for an L10 of 11. For an L10 of 11, I like him for both of these anyway. Franz Wagner at 34 is a bit pricey, but the Magic are out. They're not going to get into the playoffs, which I would like to see them make the play-ins, but they're not going to get there, unfortunately. I think they'll look good for next year, and that's sort of their progressive season of where they're going along. But the two games, Brooklyn and the Heat, I haven't got any indications that the Magic are going to shut down all their main guys. Like, they're still going to play Wendell Carter Jr., Markelle Fultz, Wagner, Banchero, and the likes. Be nice if Bol came back, but there's no indications of that. But for 34, I like him, especially this Miami Heat game, because you might see some of them guys rested for it, depending on if their positions and their seeds are done by then. Tobias Harris, purely because I needed a guy that was 28 or 27, and I prefer him to Lou Dort, who's questionable, and I don't like D'Anthony Melton at the moment. Tobias Harris, they want him to get into some form come the playoffs, because he's going to be... It's not deciding on Tobias Harris of how well the Sixers do. That'll be between Embiid and James Harden. But for Tobias Harris, they need him playing well, and they're going to want to have him run some minutes. He might not play both these games against the Hawks and the Nets, but they definitely need him well-oiled, ready for the playoffs. And then last but not least, Killian Hayes. I think Jaden Ivey is questionable, and if it is the case, then I really like Killian Hayes as a pick, playing alongside Duren and Wiseman, just dishing out dimes for it. He's not someone that can set the world on fire, as you can see from his performance. He's very, very consistent. Not the Bruce Brown consistent, but he has the ability to get in the 40s, and that's where I'm going to run with. I didn't say I look forward to this lineup, and I really don't. Limited champion then. So Joel Embiid. Now, the MVP race is done. It's over. If this video is up and Nikola Jokic has won it, you can all laugh at me. But Embiid is the MVP. The Sixers have pretty much guaranteed their spot. He's not going to repeat a 78-point performance, which he got me 85 because of the percentage boost. He might play the game against Brooklyn just as sort of a thing. I don't think he'll play both of these. I'll be very surprised if he does. So that means that Paul Reed could become an option. Have I got a Paul Reed? Yeah, I do. So Paul Reed, come the lock, could become an option that it would be very viable, because he can double his L10. He can get very comfortably get a 35 if need be in one of these games. But I like Embiid still. He'll be my MVP, and that's sort of much it. Vucevic again, the Bulls need to win. Dallas and Detroit, maybe not the Detroit game if they're running the two bigs, but the Dallas game, Nikola Vucevic could get 70. He really, really could. And I know the projections won't have that, but against these teams, this was a Grizzlies team without Steven Adams and Triple J, I do believe. There's no reason for Vucevic not to put up a big score in the Mavs game. And for that reason, I'm going to pick him. Aaron Gordon, again, the Nugs are in a spot where they might start resting for one of these two games here for Aaron Gordon. I'd be quite surprised if he played good minutes in both. He might play both, but just play restricted minutes. But at 29, again, I really like him. With Trey Jones, again, the Spurs are the Spurs, so you don't ever count on Spurs players to do anything well that aren't Trey Jones and Jeremy Sohan or Malachi Branham, or there's a few of them actually. But regardless, with the Trey Jones pick, 32 is steep, but I like the Dallas matchup. He's coming off the back of that triple-double and another good game. There is scope for him to do really well. 35 is high, but it then allowed me to play Drew Eubanks, who is the only pick on the Blazers at the moment that I would trust to get above their projection, is pretty much all I'll say. The Blazers are in full-on tank mode. He might not even play them. They might even find a two-way guy that they pick for 10 days, give him a 10-day contract and not play Drew Eubanks. That's how bad the Blazers are trying to lose right now. And then the special tournament this week that we've got is limited under 23s. I have Ja Morant as my MVP. Again, I don't think he'll play both. If he's going to miss a game, it's probably going to be the OKC one, because they're probably going to want to see how he performs against the Bucks, and he also did rest the last game for them. So he'll probably play against the Bucks and not against the Thunder, which would make your Tyus Joneses of the world a bit more viable for a pick this week. I've then got Tyrese Maxey. 40 is astronomically high for him, but he's been coming off of his L10's now kicked in from when James Harden was sitting, and over that Achilles sort of, not injury, but in like maintenance they were doing on him, that injury management cover. Tyrese Maxey's L10's too high, but in this sort of mode on this week, I'm quite happy to play him. And also, it just fit quite nicely. I had a Jabari Smith Jr. that I picked up in a trade the other week. I'm very happy to play him against Charlotte and the Wizards, because they're both teams, all of these teams don't care who wins. They're just going to put up they're going to go for competitive losses. And Jabari Smith Jr. at an L10 of 30 can hit in the 40s, and that's pretty much what I'd want from him this week. Same thing with Jordan Poole. There's a chance they sit a Jordan Poole and they'll sit the whole gang. They'll sit Dre, they'll sit Clay, they'll sit Steph, they'll sit Poole. And obviously Wiggins is not back until the playoffs at a minimum. But I don't think they will. I think there is a chance that Steph or Clay sits a game. And if that's the case, then I really like Jordan Poole as a pick. And I'm going to play him anyway because I'm not playing Lou Dort. If he plays in this Portland Trailblazers game, there's no reason why any one of those guys can't go for like a massive 50, 60 point SORARE score. So I like him as a pick. And then to round it out that fit this lineup, I am playing Jared Vanderbilt at the moment, who's got the 2 games against the Jazz and the Suns. There's a chance AD sits one of them. And even then when AD sits, he only gets in the 20s. He's not been a great scorer on SORARE since he's gone to the Lakers. But there is a scope for me to put Paul Reed in this potentially, but I might play one or the other then in contender, depending on what happens around the lock time then. Obviously, I'm just doing this video a bit earlier this week. But that would be my limited under 23 line. Let me just check. Does that see, that only pays 225 again. It's so tough because even if you finish top 100, at least these are tier 4s now. But top 100, tier 3s, I mean, there is a realistic scope that you come out of this with, like, where have we got someone? A Jalen Green, and then you just can't use them. Did I see James Bouknight as a tier 3? I did. James Bouknight should. I don't care that he's going for a little bit more because he's playing. James Bouknight should never be listed as a tier 3 card. Anyway, that's the limited under 23 cards that we've got for it here. Rare stuff. Now, rare contender. We've got Usman Garubu. Again, the Rockets are just sort of, they're doing their thing at the moment. The game's against the Hornets and the Wizards. The Wizards will be playing no one good. Porzingis, I'll be shocked if Porzingis is playing in this game. An L10 of 7, he can get floor time, but it's a bit like Juan Toscano Anderson. They don't really get anything on the box score to score points. He'll pick up a few rebounds every now and then, but he's here to allow me to play other guys. Gary Harris is a little bit similar. There's scope I might play Javon Carter. Spoiler alert, I picked up a couple of guys. I'll run you through them in a minute. I want to play Cam Reddish, but I'm not confident enough that he's going to play. I think they're just going to completely rule out his small back injury now till the rest of this season, and then go again in the new year. But I've got Gary Harris. I could play Javon Carter, which looks a little bit better. And also, if the Bucks then sit people, Javon Carter would be one of the guys here that I'd really like as a little value play per se, is what I'd say. But yeah, I've also got the Sam Hauser as well. But regardless, we'll swap him out. We'll put Javon Carter in there. RJ Barrett at 24. He's missed a couple of games recently with illness, and he's still not been great anyway. They came off the back of a huge point scoring game recently, the Knicks, where he didn't play against the Pacers. There's scope that he plays in one of these games because, again, even though these playoff teams want to rest their guys now before, and they're guaranteed to play the Cavs, the Knicks. So there's no difference on if they lose games and win games. They can't go up, they can't go down. They're not going to want these guys sitting for 2 weeks doing nothing. They're going to want some sort of movement and some freshness in them. So I don't think he'll play both. He will play one. The game against the Pelicans will be competitive. The game against the Pacers won't be. At 24, it is really low, but he's not been on great form recently anyway, RJ Barrett. But he's definitely got potentials to get in the high 30s, 40s, and even in that 50-point mark, especially with Julius Randle out. And if they do sit a Brunson for one game and say it's quickly Grimes and Barrett, I do quite like that as a Knicks team for an RJ Barrett potentially high score on SORARE. Now, Drew Holiday is one of the guys that I'm definitely going to be playing in contender, primarily because his L10 is quite low. There isn't a sort of underdog mode this week, so I'm going to play him. I know he's a doubt. Well, he's not a doubt officially, but there's a chance he doesn't play both these games or either. I understand it. This is the final week of the season. Things like this can happen. Okongwu is my interesting one here. Now, on paper, I do like... On paper, these games are terrible, the Sixers and the Celtics, but they've got nothing to play for, whereas the Hawks do. We'll go with rare no cap next, which will pretty much spoil who I'm not playing for my rare champion lineup. Jaylen Brown, Mikal, the rare no cap mode is just sort of, who have you got that you're not playing in champion that's not got a cap low enough to put in contender, but too high to play anywhere else? And that's why I like this mode. So I've got a Jaylen Brown, a Mikal Bridges, and Anthony Edwards, a Chris Paul, and a Markelle Fultz at 34. 34 is way too high for Fultz. Even though he's been really good recently, it's way too high for him. It depends on if the Magic shut him down. I don't think they will, but there is obviously a chance that they do that. Kelly Oubre Jr. pretty much has been shut down. That's why I'm not playing him over Fultz. Look, in these modes, you're going to get people playing like LeBron, maybe some Lucas as well, a couple Giannis's, even though I don't think Giannis will play. So I think it's, again, is it 225 is the reward pool, or is it a 550? No, it's a 225. So again, you have to do really well to earn anything of note in this one. But even if you earn Is there any tier 5 guys that are actually useful? And AJ Green won't get minutes. And Andre Iguodala, no. Danny Green potentially could be of use in the playoffs. I don't see anybody off the top here. Yeah, there doesn't seem to be many tier 5s, but there'll be. I did see Robert Covington might, but I'd be very surprised in regards to it. Anyway, tier 4s, are there any useful guys? Yeah, there's some decent tier 4s. A Blake Griffin would be fine. Caleb Martin is a rotation pick. Darius Baisley, no. Jock Landale, no. Lonnie Walker, yeah. Luke Cornett, yeah. Landry Shamet, yeah. Mike Muscala, yeah. So in tier 4, if you pick a tier 4 up, they can be useful come the playoffs. So if you finish top 140 in this mode, then you can definitely get something. And I mean, all of these guys here, Chris Paul, Jaylen Brown, Edwards, Bridges and Fultz, they're all capable of 40+ point scores. So, and if that happens, you're looking at 200+ points. And obviously one of them, I would expect Jaylen Brown or Edwards to, especially Edwards more, to go off on a big time score on Bridges. The Jaylen Brown pick is just because he's not in my champion lineup. There is scope that something could happen, but you obviously need a lot to go your way. And in this stage of the season, right at the end, you do get some very weird teams and lineups that come out in the NBA. In any case, my final team, my rare champion lineup, I'm going with Jimmy Butler as the MVP again at 45. But when Miami need to win this year, Jimmy Butler just rests games that he can't do it all in because of his age and his injury statuses that he's got. He can't do it all. That's essentially what Jimmy is up to now. But when he does need to do it all, he very much can. And this is what Jimmy Butler is like come the playoffs as well. He will turn it from the regular season into the playoffs, no issues whatsoever. He'll turn it up a big notch. The game against the Wizards and the Magic are both games where I could see Jimmy Butler hitting in the 60s quite comfortably on SORARE, especially when he's doing his thing. The Miami are just playing weird right now where Bam Adebayo sort of will be at the first half and have 1 rebound, and Jimmy Butler will have no shots taken, but he'll still be on like 35 SORARE points because he'll have got rebounds, assists, and steals. That's just what Jimmy's doing. He's moving his game to sort of accommodate the Heat into winning games at the moment. But anyway, he'll be my MVP. I have Jaren Jackson Jr. here as the 43 mark. I could put Jaylen Brown in. I just think that there's more chance of Jaren Jackson Jr. hitting a bigger score than Jaylen Brown in these 2 games. And also, I don't want to get it wrong again where he gets 80 points and Mikal Bridges gets 50 and I don't win a super rare in rare champion. Anyway, Devin Booker at the 39 mark, 2 games against LA. They're games where the Suns are going to match themselves up and test them ready for the playoffs. These will be useful games. I'd be surprised if Kevin Durant and Chris Paul play both these games. They might play against the Clippers and not play against the Lakers. I don't think KD will play a back-to-back just before the playoffs. I'd be very surprised if that happens. But Devin Booker, there's a chance they sit him, but he seems like the kind of guy that will just play regardless. Aaron Gordon again at 29, chance he sits. I could pick one of Aaron Gordon, DeAndre Ayton, or Malcolm Brogdon. So again, let me know who you think the best 29 rated player is. I know I had that issue in the other team. I'm forgetting who my 29 pick was in that. Oh, yeah, it was if I was going to play a Coleman, but that's not the issue here. Would you play Ayton, Gordon, or Malcolm Brogdon? Let me know. And then Kendrick Nunn, because I won a Kendrick Nunn. How long ago did I win this Kendrick Nunn? Let's take a quick look. So go rare. We'll scroll on to Kendrick Nunn. I won him 2 months ago, and I've had him sit there in my gallery because I didn't want to sell him for £15 or 20 quid. Because I knew that there might be a chance where come 1 week, he's got such a low L10 that he could be viable if Bradley Beal sits and all of this sort of stuff. And it did happen this week where he got a 62-point game on an L10 of 9, 53, but with the bonus, obviously it goes to 62. These are the sort of weeks where I always say, and I've said it for all the videos I've done all year on SORARE NBA, or all season, since when it started and since I've been doing them, that when you have these guys in your gallery, they are beneficial of you. I could have sold him for 40 quid, but I thought I really liked the look of my lineup going into it. I'm going to keep him. And as such as well, this week, the way of which these guys with the low L10s are, normally you can get them for 1, 2, 3 game weeks usage out of them anyway. And it's happened again, so I can play him. I like him for both these games, for the minutes he'll get. He'll definitely get over 9, unless he gets injured, of course. But I don't think he'll get in the 50s. It'll probably be a 20 to 30 point game. But in any case, if that happens and these guys all slightly outperform their L10s, I might be looking at a tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 card. And you can't complain at that right before the NBA playoffs. So yeah, that's going to do it. That's going to wrap that one up there. Thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy this video and any of the other SORARE videos on the NBA side for the regular season that I've done this year, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It would help me out more than you could possibly imagine. Leave a like on this video, comment your SORARE name down below to be in the chance of a giveaway on the common pickup side, And also don't forget to join the SORARE Swingman Society Mini League. The link for that will be in the description down below. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll catch you in the next video, which will be the run-up and the start of the NBA playoffs. Oh yeah, don't join the Swingman Mini League as well for the playoff rewards. Obviously, that's the key one for it. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll catch you in our next video. The last podcast as well will probably appear here along with an NBA playoff guide. Thanks for watching. Peace.